All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Zeros podcast. It's episode 85.
Episode Ocho Cinco.
Episode Ocho Cinco. Oh, that's very good. We should start doing that. We are cleaning out the toy bin today. We'll get more into that in our first segment. Follow the money. Al coming off of 1 and 2, and Lucas secured the lock of the week. What else is new? And then finally, we get into the Lions going into Lambeau and smashing the Packers. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Okay, Al. Week 4 is just about in the books. We're just waiting on this Monday night game between the Giants and the Seahawks. But there was a big, milestone in the NFL this past week as they had their first NFL broadcast in a Toy Story theme. I don't know how to describe it. It was like augmented reality.
It was.
Well, I guess it wouldn't be that.
I'd say the Nickelodeon one from last year was a bit more in the augmented reality side, just because they were taking the actual feed and then adding effects to it. This was a completely.
This is more so virtual reality.
Yeah, on its own feed, they had the players chipped up or whatever in their equipment to track all their movements as realistic as they could and put them all in a Disney Toy Story setting. So it was very fun to watch for sure. I mean, obviously the novelty, if you're an adult, gets a little old after a little bit, but
I did turn it off very quickly.
Yeah, but just I mean, for kids wanting to get into the game or people who maybe just aren't as into sports, like I definitely think this is a fun like avenue for that. And technically, I mean, like I live in the animation world, so I can definitely admire the just the amount of work that it took to make that happen. And there's lots of impressive feats of technology going on. So definitely wanted to acknowledge that on the pod. And we took it a step further than that. And I guess our first segment here is going to be a little play off of it.
Yeah, so we're cleaning out the toy bin. Which toys are we still playing with? Which ones are we going to put towards the bottom of the toy bin? What we're not necessarily going to throw away yet, and then which ones are we too old for? And we're just like, you know what, give it a Goodwill. We don't want it anymore. So we've picked out certain players for each category. I'll go ahead. I'll start us off. I'm ready to throw away the Chiefs, the entire Chiefs roster. They're not playing bad.
That's a very hot take. Bad,
but I'm just sick of the circus. I'm sick of the fucking circus that is surrounding this team now.
You know, as much as a hot take as that is, can I just chime in with my thoughts?
Yeah, go ahead.
I fucking love it!
I feel like watching them play the Jets last night. I think Collinsworth maybe made a comment about it in the commentary, but
couldn't really have a worse production staff.
Well,
doing the game.
it made me think about it after he made the comment. Without Tyreek Hill and various other weapons that are missing, and they replace them with Kadarius Toney and whatever else scrub receiver, there's no speed deep threat on this roster.
Not really.
And it's like the offense is just so reliant on Mahomes and Kelsey, and that's it. I mean, Pacheco stepped up, had a big game last night, but like this offense is not nearly as like potent as it's been in the last few seasons, and it's the beginning of the year still. Maybe they'll figure it out and it'll be fine. They're always in the conversation, but it is definitely noticeable right now that they just aren't as explosive as like Miami, Buffalo, some of these other teams that just have weapons galore or make weapons out of guys that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like the Dolphins are currently doing.
Yeah. But, you know, the whole Taylor Swift thing, it just got – the NFL just beat it into the loving fucking ground.
Okay, so that's where your main
like, – that's my whole thing. Like, they played bad last night. Mahomes looked horrible.
You could tell he was frustrated too.
Yeah. He looked very bad. But the amount of attention that NBC gave Taylor Swift last night was unfucking believable.
Well, there's already speculation as to if this thing is even a real thing. Because really, I mean, like, if you think about it, who benefits from her being on the TV broadcast 100 times, the Instagram 100 times. Who benefits?
The NFL.
The NFL sells more jerseys for Travis Kelce that say Swiftie on the back from they're fucking sold out.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift benefits because she gets a bunch more people to her
a lot more eyes.
Platform. Yep. Travis Kelce in the last week has almost 1 million more followers on Instagram. Yeah. So it's like a multi-level
benefit. Everybody wins,
and everybody gets
the NFL fans,
and everybody gets more rich.
Yeah.
We just have to sit there and deal with it. I don't know. I mean, even the NFL at this point, their Twitter bio is Taylor Swift lyrics and 3 photos of her as their banner.
Yeah, it's
out of control.
It's like chill the fuck out. Who cares? The fact that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman didn't even get mentioned, but were in the same box as her, entered the stadium at the same time as her. Sophie Turner was with them. Like,
I mean, Sophie Turner. Let's calm down on that. That's not.
She's a big deal. It's just it's out of control at this point. Chill the fuck out. They'll probably be on. I mean, they might be America's Game of the Week next week in Minnesota, and if she's there, God Almighty, I won't be watching.
All right. Well, we've already put enough time into this conversation, so I thought you were actually going for more of a Chiefs angle on this, but it's definitely a Taylor Swift angle.
It's a Taylor Swift.
Okay. Angle. All right. My first toy. Taylor Swift should be the toy that you're throwing away.
I guess
not
so.
the Chiefs.
Travis Kelce's the toy I'm throwing
away. I want to go a little bit more positive with a spin here. How about a toy I'm picking up or still playing with, not throwing it away? The Houston Texans.
Yeah.
2-2. They get a pretty big upset W over the Jags, and then they just fucking took care of business yesterday against Pittsburgh.
They beat the shit out of them.
And CJ Stroud is looking real good for a rookie.
Against a defense that a lot of people were saying, one of the better defenses in the NFL, he made them look like Swiss cheese.
Nico Collins with an assload of yards. I had a fantasy matchup against him yesterday. He fucking roasted me in that game.
Damian Pierce got it going. I mean, they took care of business.
And I think the big takeaway too is that I believe they're tied for the lead in the division because you got the Jags at 2-2, Titans at they're 1-3, and
they're 2-2.
Who's and then Colts are 1-3, 2-2. They're definitely not 3-1. I think because they lost the Rams yesterday.
1-3, I think.
Okay.
They're either 1-3 or 2-2. So
I mean, we talked about this division being the Jags to lose. They're rounding into form hopefully here. They've won the last. They've won one in a row. They took care of business though against the Falcons. That was for sure a take care of business game for them.
They got a tough one though coming up against Buffalo and Houston. I think they're going into Atlanta. So Desmond Ritter's starting.
He is,
which that's another throwaway for me. Done with him. Get him out.
He is starting. It's confirmed.
Wow, that's crazy. 19 of 31, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, including a pick 6, and both picks were back to back. And he got sacked 4 times for 31 yards. He does not look good at all. He looks atrocious.
Yep.
Bijan is doing everything humanly possible. 14 for 105, including a 40-yard run. Not to mention, he also had 5 catches for 32 yards. I mean, I don't know what to do. How is Jonnu Smith getting 6 catches for 95 yards with 6 targets, and Kyle Pitts is getting 2 for 21 with 4 targets?
They just don't know how to use that guy.
I guess so.
They really don't.
He's like purely a decoy. But back to Houston. CJ Stroud, he looks easily the best out of the rookie quarterback so far. Easily.
For sure. He looks better good. Than right now. He looks better than some of the year 2 guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
maybe not Brock Purdy, but
Well, that's a system. Anybody could shine in that.
And
shit.
No one loves to give that guy any credit.
I give him credit, but I mean, you look at some of the. I feel like a majority of his throws yesterday against Arizona, just screen passes, and they would pick up 8 yards.
For sure.
For
sure.
I'm gonna pivot to somebody I'm putting at the bottom of the toy bin for right now.
So to clarify, you're not throwing the toy out, but you're putting it at the bottom.
I'm not playing with it. I'm putting it away for right now. Joe Burrow looks like garbage.
You know what? We've had two similar toys written down here with the Desmond Ritter stuff and the Joe Burrow Bengals show.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we called this
quite a bit. Yeah.
We said before the season even started, the dude's not 100%. You're going to suffer for it, and the longer that you try and make it work while he's banged up, it's just going to delay, and it's showing. And I know the first couple weeks here, everyone's kind of been like, the Bengals they'll get rolling here, but this does have a little bit of a different feel than the last 2 years.
Their one win was coming against the LA Rams. They did not score a touchdown. They scored 3 points against the Tennessee Titans, who have looked like garbage throughout the year. Burrow was 20 for 30, 165 yards. He was getting hit really often. T. Higgins is now banged up. Sit Burrow the next 2 games. You're at Arizona, and then you're at home against Seattle.
Get right.
Those are 2 winnable games even without Burrow. Although, honestly, I don't know how accurate that is because the Cardinals play every team tough right now, and the Seahawks are no slouches. But then you have at San Francisco, and then you're at home against Buffalo. Those are 2 games that you need to win. Right now, you're sitting at the bottom of the division. You're 1-3. Baltimore's running away with it. They have, I think, 3 division wins. 2.
I believe
Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Okay, yeah.
Because they play Pittsburgh this week. Sit Burrow. I mean, you got to put him on the shelf right now. He's not looking right. Jamar Chase is getting angry, rightfully so. I mean, they look like garbage on offense right now.
I feel like also, and maybe this is an overreaction, I don't know, but I feel like Zach Taylor is being a little bit exposed, if you will. I mean, before Burrow got there, he was, or even when Burrow was there early in his career, he was
there the same year.
I think he was there a year prior. But they were awful. They had the number 1 pick. That's why. I even meant 2 years. I don't know. But anyways, with the banged up Joe Burrow, tough schedule, and everything we talked about, he has not looked very good. So,
are you putting anybody else at the bottom of this toy bin right now?
Yeah, I got one toy I'm throwing out.
Okay, what you got?
This is a hard. I'm throwing out. I can't believe I'm saying it here, week 4 of the 2023 season, but everything has an expiration date. You get too old to play with some toys, and it's time to let them go. Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Oh, okay. I had Mac Jones down.
It's done. Last night was the worst loss of his entire career.
They looked so fucking bad.
That's not even just like hyperbole. That is statistically the worst loss of his career.
38-3.
And it's against a Dallas Cowboys team on the road, albeit, but this Dallas defense is clearly well above average. Mike Parsons is a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. He's a beast, as we've talked about, as a lot of people have. But like, I don't know. They just got rolled by a team that's like not even. I don't think they're in the top 5 discussion, really. I mean, top 10, probably somewhere in there.
Somewhere around there.
But like
top 10, 100%.
It's just they're a team offensively that has problems, and they should not have lost as bad as they lost. I understand losing in Dallas to a team that is probably better than you, but getting rolled in that embarrassing fashion. Mac Jones looked terrible. They don't have any answers, as Bailey Zappi's their backup, and by the way, he was a free agent like 2 weeks ago, so they have no idea what they're doing there. Belichick just refuses to actually like make significant adjustments on the offensive side of the ball. I know they have Bill O'Brien back, but like, it's just the same old crap. And the game has moved on a little bit, and it's starting to show.
It is.
And he's the greatest of all time, obviously, as a coach, but
at what point is this tarnishing his legacy, right?
I know he's got a couple records he's trying to get to, but like, just watching like games like last night, they're 1-3 in the division. The AFC is flying by them. They're not a team we're taking seriously anymore. It's time to hit the reset button, especially in a year where you've got lots of lots of quarterbacks coming out of the draft, and we'll plenty of time to talk about all that stuff later in the year. But for right now, I'm throwing this toy in the trash. I'm not even giving it to Goodwill. It's going in the garbage.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I got one other player that I'm going to throw away. Stop giving the ball to Dalvin Cook in New York. Breece Hall needs to be the dominant back there. Breece Hall had 6 carries for 56 yards. Granted, one of them was for 43 yards. But how is he only getting 6 carries? Dalvin Cook had 5 for 16. It's a drive killer. I know that Zach Wilson was slinging the rock last night, which was a great sign for him. And it's a great sign for Breece Hall. Breece Hall needs to be getting 15 to 18 carries a game.
I mean, I would say at this point in the season, it's probably just because they're trying to get him up to 1,000% good.
I guess so, yeah.
And he's on a pitch count to a degree, and that's kind of why you have a Dalvin Cook. You know, you can let him be the workhorse for a little bit longer. But yeah, I mean, there are plays this season where he's looked spectacular. So I just don't think they're ready to fully unleash him yet. I wouldn't say throw Dalvin Cook in the trash, but definitely put him on more of a pitch count and let's make this more of a 50-50 split between the two of them.
What toys are you still playing with? Which ones are you not putting in the toy bin? Which ones are you not putting away? You're leaving it out.
Well, I kind of mentioned the Texans, but I'm still riding with Baker in the Bucks here.
Yeah, that's good.
3-1. Only loss on the year to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. They had a pretty easy time with the Saints yesterday.
Killed them.
And I kind of made my thoughts known on it last week on the show. I was just like saying how much of a great fit Baker is for this team right now, and just based on where they're at, and especially in their division, which is weaker, and with Atlanta stumbling for sure.
Yeah.
New Orleans,
Carolina can't get out of their own way,
and New Orleans, they're always kind of a wild card. Now Derek Carr is hurt, so who knows? This is looking good for them so far. So, yeah, I like Baker and the Bucks.
I like them too. I have 2 players in mind that I'm still playing with. One, Devontae Adams is still in the running for top 3 wide receivers in the NFL right now.
I mean, he's carrying the water for that team right now, for sure.
He really is. Even though they lose to what's their faces? Chargers. With a backup quarterback, he had 8 for 75 on 13 targets. Last week he murdered. Who were they playing last week?
Last week was the
Steelers. In prime time. He had 13 catches for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he is still easily a top 3 wide receiver in this league. And I feel like he kind of gets lost around the shuffle just because this Raiders offense is not good. But right now, I mean, he is single-handedly helping that offense get to where it can be at this point. I don't think it's not going to be – I mean, how many points have they scored in each game? 17 against the Chargers, who were banged up on defense, 18 against the Steelers, 10 against the Bills, 16 against the Broncos.
Banged up on defense, yet Khalil Mack finds a way to get 6 sacks in a game.
Yeah, I mean, is Joey Bosa holding Khalil Mack back? People are starting to ask. The other player that I had a little bit of a resurgence yesterday, how about Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, he
struggled this year.
You know, he'd be a toy that I put back in the bin. I mean, like, I'm not throwing him away. But before yesterday, he was definitely on the verge, like in that pile where it's like he might be going to donation. You know what I mean?
22
not
carries
anymore.
On 122 yards and a touchdown. 1 for 1, 2 yards and a touchdown passing the ball.
I got a perfect one for this.
Back to formula
for Derrick Henry. Tractor Cedo season coming a little early this year. They need him to produce like that every game. Plain and simple. I mean, Tannehill is still not looking very good.
It's just it's a crazy ask though to have your entire 100%. Offense rely on him, especially when you have Hop and Treylon Burks and Tannehill if he can pick it up. I mean, I don't know. It's just I guess those guys aren't gonna blow anyone's socks off, but yeah, it's a lot to ask Derrick Henry to carry your team in
He's been
2023.
doing it for years. He's
Well,
been doing it for years. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. Any other players that you wanted to mention? Any other teams that you wanted to mention?
let's maybe something quick, just because I want to kind of move on from this. Yeah, my only last team here. This is a toy I'm picking up, especially after one of the probably the best game of the early slate yesterday. Buffalo Bills. I think a lot of people, including myself, were thinking Miami we're going to go in there and take care of business and keep doing what they're doing, but Buffalo stepped up and they showed they are still very much one of the superpowers in the AFC and the AFC East. Rocking home crowd. I couldn't believe the final score. I couldn't believe it got that high.
Wrapped on the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah,
Dolphins couldn't get a stop if that was the only possibility left.
And like the Dolphins, like I wouldn't even say they played like horrible or anything. I think just the Bills just rolled them. I think the Bills just went in there and were executing on all levels. I mean, Josh Allen and Diggs were just like, 3 touchdowns. I mean, it's crazy.
Not necessarily a game that the Dolphins lost, but certainly a game that the Bills won.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
I love stupid sayings like that. All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on to Follow the Money. Okay, Follow the Money. Let's take a look at last week's picks real quick. I gave you Washington plus 8.5. That was a winner. The Miami Dolphins plus 128 money line. No bueno. And then the LA Rams plus 106. They tried everything to give that game away. Won it in overtime. Shout out Puka Nakuka. Big win right there. Al, on the other hand, Carolina plus 3.5. No, sir. They did not score a single point in the second half. That was brutal to watch. The over in London for Atlanta and Jacksonville. Unfortunately, Atlanta did not help you out at all. And then finally, the over in the Kansas City and New York Jets game. That was a W.
Well, I feel like I mentioned it.
Jets gave you 20.
I mentioned it last show about the London game. That was kind of just like, well, you're either going to have a points bonanza or a very wet fart under, and guess which one it was.
Yeah,
so,
wet fart under.
Not great.
The lock of the week improves to 2-2 on my back. Russell Wilson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That was plus money, and it hit. There's never a doubt about it, baby.
Mr. Unlimited.
Here is year to dates. Before I jump into this week's board, Lucas is sitting at 7-4-1. Al is sitting at 4-8, and the lock and week is sitting at 2-2. So you got some work to do, Al.
Yep.
Here are the over-unders. We have the other London game coming up this week. Jacksonville staying in London. The Bills are traveling across the pond. That total is set at 48. Carolina comes to Detroit this week. That total is set at 43.5. And then finally, Kansas City is traveling to Minnesota. That total is set at 52.5.
All right.
For the spreads, we have Baltimore on the road going to Pittsburgh. Baltimore is 3.5-point favorites. Cincinnati is 3.5-point favorites at Arizona. Dallas is traveling to San Francisco for Sunday Night Football. San Francisco opens up at 3.5-point favorites. And then for the money lines, we have Houston plus 100 at Atlanta, Tennessee plus 100 at Indianapolis, and New Orleans plus 100 at New England. So I start out coming off the 2-1 week. I don't think, God almighty, this gives me chills down my spine taking this for some reason. I'm taking Baltimore minus 3.5 on the road in Pittsburgh.
Is your idiot brain getting fucked by stupid?
You don't like it?
Not my favorite. Not my favorite.
Kenny Pickett is out more than likely. Suffered a nasty sack against Houston this past week.
Concussion protocol, right?
Is it I thought his leg got fucked up.
Oh, well, I thought I already seen concussion protocol. I could be wrong.
Well, if he plays, even better. Baltimore, I don't think they're going to lose this game, and I can easily see them beating them by a touchdown. So I'm taking Baltimore minus 3.5.
As much as Pittsburgh does look like stinky doo-doo right now, I will say this reeks of a trap game to me.
100%.
My first pick here. Let's ride the hot hand. Let's go with the Houston Texans plus 100.
I need a fucking boost, and I need it now.
Falcons have they looked like in this Jags game they have lost a lot of momentum. I think they were rolling into Detroit, and Detroit broke them.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of where we're at. I think Ritter's been exposed, and he really needs to have a rebound.
I think he's lost that locker room too.
100%.
Did you see him try to high five his other tight end?
No, I didn't see that.
His other tight end immediately snapped at him. Basically told him, "Get the fuck out of my face."
Damn. Well,
tough look. I like the pick though. If Zach Wilson can throw as well as he did on Kansas City's defense, I got to imagine Kirk Cousins does. I'm taking the over 52.5 in Kansas City and Minnesota.
I will say this game or that total was a candidate for lock of the week this week before you put it on the board. So
I don't think it has to be ruled out.
Well, we might revisit that game. But,
all right.
But the over-under, probably not. For me, my second one here, I feel like this has a potential of being a layup. I think it does. I think Dallas are frauds. Somewhat. I think the defense is real, but Dak does Dak things.
Yeah.
Let's take the Niners 3.5.
Give me money. Money me. Money now.
I love it.
At San Francisco, correct? Right?
Yep, that is correct. Sunday Night Football.
Dak is already being grilled about the game in the post presser from last night's ass whooping from the to the Patriots.
What is he getting grilled for?
Well, you got reporters in the press room asking him about last year's matchup with the Niners, and if it's on his mind and shit like that. And I gotta send you the clip because Dak's reaction is crazy. He's literally doing this with his eyes.
Is your idiot brain getting fucked by stupid?
I mean, he is not happy about it.
Oh man. And then finally, my last pick, I'm going to take the under in Carolina and Detroit.
Wow.
I think Carolina's defense is still pretty good. And I think our defense is going to give Bryce Young a tough time, especially coming into Ford Field. That stadium has been rocking recently. The run game is not going to be there for Carolina. So they're going to make Bryce Young throw the ball, and I can see the rookie making some mistakes. And then our offense is not. Also, we'll get more into it in this next segment. But your last pick, Al.
Look, I know that we kind of just spent a lot of time crapping on the Bengals and saying,
"Oh God, this makes me nervous."
Yeah, I know. No, you know what? Let's take the Cardinals to cover.
All right.
Let's take the Cardinals
I like that
to cover.
A lot more.
Yeah, let's do that.
I fucking love it.
Plus 3.5. They've been scrappy, and
they have been so fucking scrappy.
This is definitely a take care of business game for the Bengals. But if what we talked about earlier in the show, when the things are different right now, maybe the Cardinals make it a game. I don't know. Swinging for the fences a little bit on this one, but
yeah, we don't know if Joe Burrow is going to play. And Josh Dobbs has not looked as bad as I thought he would.
Imagine when they have an actual quarterback.
It's going to be weird. They gotta start losing some games though if they want to do that.
Well, they got Murray. I mean, you know.
No.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead.
That's Cardinals fans. Kyler Murray right now.
We're gonna have to be careful with that drop.
That's so good. All right, to recap, I have Baltimore minus 3.5, the over in Kansas City and Minnesota at 52.5, and then the under in Carolina and Detroit at 43.5. Al has Houston plus 100 on the road at Atlanta. San Francisco hosting the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. He has San Francisco minus 3.5, and then finally Arizona plus 3.5 at home against Cincinnati. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the show for Lock of the Week. We're also adding a stipulation to this Lock of the Week that I made up this past week. So be sure to stay tuned to the end of the show for that. All right, let's talk Lions.
Let's go!
Okay, let's recap this past Thursday night game. The Lions go into Lambeau Field and win 34-20. It was 27-3 at halftime. So they got outscored, 17-7 in the second half. That first half was so needed.
I fucking love it!
It was so needed. They needed to go in Green Bay and just mollywop these fools. Shut everybody down. Let them know that this is our division. They're 2-0 on the road now. That's 2-0 in Kansas City and Lambeau.
Those
Prime
are
time game.
Your two biggest road games of the year,
Thursday
probably.
night.
I would say.
Probably.
I mean, I don't know how it gets much bigger than the only other team in the division that looks like they might give you some grief this season, and the Super Bowl champs. Those seem like pretty enormous early season matchups to go take care of, and this one felt very convincing very early. Second half definitely got a little more shaky. Took
the foot off in the second half,
and which it made me nervous the entire time. I was just thinking of ways that this could blow up and fall apart. But no, that's SOL, baby. This is BNL. They stay alive, and it ultimately ends up being a pretty convincing W for them. I think they kind of exposed the Green Bay offense for sure. Their defense as well, but definitely the defense looked a little better in the second half than the first half, I would say.
Yeah. I also really do think that they just flat out took their foot off the gas in the second half. They controlled this game from start to finish, though. Even when the Packers were mounting that comeback, they go down the field. David Montgomery, I mean, what a fucking workhorse this guy is turning out to be. 32 carries, 121 yards, 3 touchdowns. Basically Jamal Williams, but better, which I think we've been saying all summer long.
And agreed. And I also was kind of surprised that not only was he back a little earlier than I thought he was going to be based on injury concerns, but the volume and usage that he got in this game, I mean, he was RB1 for sure. He was he was getting way more carries than I anticipated, but he looks fine to me. I mean, he had a great game.
That was 32 of 43 rushing attempts and 121 of our 211 rushing yards. A big run also came from Khalif Raymond, which Goff laid a fucking hysterical block. It was a really good block, but it was really funny to watch in real time.
Look at Goff getting a scrambling TD one week, laying the wood another week.
Laying the wood is one way to put it. So that's a good segue into my next question. Goff doesn't look that great this year, does he?
Look, I mean, he's had a pick in three games back to back now.
Throwing 1 in 10 straight.
And I also think we need to, kind of acknowledge that he is working with not all the tools that he could have at his disposal. I mean, we'll talk about JMO, but no JMO. Marvin Jones has been kind of
ghost.
Yeah, Scratch is putting it nicely.
Josh Reynolds has looked really good.
And Amon-Ra and of course Reynolds have both looked very good. Laporta has also looked good.
One of the best tight ends in the league right now.
But tough schedule-ish to start off, and no JMO yet. Marvin's a non-factor. I don't know. You can running game. They're still figuring it out with Gibbs a little bit. Like Montgomery has looked fine.
Running game looked phenomenal.
Well, but it's increased every week though, right? I mean, with Gibbs at least. Like Montgomery, I feel like has been fine the whole year. He looked really good this last week, but I don't know.
I mean, 5 yards a carry on 43 carries is just asinine, right? I mean that's so many attempts for and to have an average of 5 yards a carry. Sensational.
Well,
Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 carries for 40 yards. That's no slouch either.
Well, what are you thinking about Goff? I mean, all the PFF people are still loving Goff, maybe not as much as
I feel
last year's start.
Receivers, his picks have looked not good at all.
Yeah, that I would agree with. That those have not looked great the last couple of weeks.
I think a lot of the balls are receivers making plays, guys wide open. So I don't know. Goff, he hasn't wowed me yet like he was last year. I mean, last year I feel like down that stretch he was playing easily the best football of his career, and so I was kind of hoping I would see that carry into this year, but I don't know. I feel like I haven't really seen it with him yet.
He also had a great game against the Seahawks too. I mean, that was a really good game by him.
Yeah, outside of the pick six, but let's look at the list of demands that we gave them last week.
I demand satisfaction.
We wanted 3 or less penalties. That one was a long shot. With being in Green Bay, they had 8 for 70, so still not good. They really do need to clean that up because penalties will end up killing us in big games. 2 turnovers. Shout out Jerry Jacobs. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, by himself.
We wanted 75% or better on third down. They were 7 of 17. It's a vast improvement.
It's closer to 50, but
yeah,
60.
It was a vast improvement. Like last week, I think they were 4 of 14. That's actually no difference really. Well, they went 3 of 3 in that difference. So, but the reason I will give them a pass on this one, 2 for 2 on fourth down. Good job. We wanted the individual player. We wanted to keep that momentum. Hutch with 2 sacks. I think he had 1.5 on the night, so we'll count it.
He split with Kaminsky. Right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, 1.5 on the night. The first sack was incredible. Him grabbing Jordan Love's collar. It was basically, "Give me your lunch money, punk," kind of.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit!
It was basically "Give me your lunch money, punk" kind of sack. So that was really good. Overall, they had 5 sacks on the night. So that defensive line is getting going. I'm pretty sure they did not blitz Love one time in the first half, and a lot of those came in the first half. Isaiah Bugg sighting, which is really good. We really needed that interior defensive line to get going, so that's fantastic to see. And then yours, Al, was contain Jordan Love. Do you think they accomplished that?
I would say so. Yeah. Again, first half was a mollywhopping. He played a little better in the second half, but yeah, for the most part, he was who we thought he was.
He was contained. All right, so Lions moved to 3-1. They're now sole leaders of the division. They're 1-0 in the division. They're 2-1 in the conference. They're looking good right now.
Well, but before we move into
Carolina?
Panthers game, we're a quarter in now.
Yeah.
Right. They're 3-1. They have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They lose to Seattle at home. They beat Atlanta at home.
Bounce back game.
Not the prettiest, but good win. Convincing. Yeah. Took care of business. And then Green Bay, in parts of this game, on the road, prime time, they show this is their division. I think 3-1 with everything that's happened so far, even with the Seattle loss, where it was a close game by the time it was over. And
we lost in overtime.
Right. And this team, there's an argument to be made that they could be 4-0. They're not. They're 3-1.
Yep.
They're a division leader. I mean, for me, A+ grade so far. Because it's pretty maybe 4-0 is an A+. I'd say an A, a solid A though.
Right. I was just going to tack on to your point. You think about, we have already gotten. I mean, every team gets this, but we've gotten decimated by injuries already.
We've definitely had a few.
I mean, we've had Vitae, Decker. We've lost Glasgow. No, maybe not Glasgow, but we lost Evan Brown, I think.
I think Jonah Jackson was banged up for
Jonah
a game.
Jackson's been banged up, so the entire offensive line. We lost Monty for a while. Reynolds has been questionable. Amon's been questionable. We've lost Kirby Joseph. We've lost
CJ.
Brian Branch is now banged up.
Which, thank God, he came back into the game because I was getting nervous.
Why the fuck did he come back into the game?
He's a dog, dude. He's got the dog in him. You know
we
that.
were up, man. We did not need him. He also got banged up coming back into the game. Like, stay the fuck on the sideline, Brian. We need you next week.
But I get your point.
Mosley's coming back now. We've lost Justin Houston. We've lost so much already.
James Houston.
So really 3-1 with everything that we've dealt with is really good.
And we've got a Panthers team who is currently the number 2 worst team in the league.
Yeah. Coming in winless.
Coming into our house. Then we got to go to Tampa. It's a little tougher.
That's going to be, that's going to be. I've had that marked down as a fucking win. And now I don't know.
Which breaking news on the podcast as we're recording, that game has been flexed. It's been moved to the 4:25.
Oh, interesting.
Slate on America's that same day. It would appear so.
Interesting.
I think Tampa playing really well has probably made that happen because
it also could do with the Sunday night game. Maybe they're flexing something in.
Oh, maybe they're taking the Jets out. That'd be good. I'd love that.
Are they on Sunday night again?
God, they were a primetime darling this year.
Yeah, well, it made sense at the time, right? Yeah, I mean they got some games, man. They can easily head into the bye week 2-3 losses, right? I mean,
yeah, but you know, a lot more W's than L's going into the bye week, right?
W's than L's. Let's hope.
You were sitting here saying 7-0 and shit like that a couple weeks ago.
You know what? I could not be that far off. I said that was if they won against Seattle. Carolina, honestly, I mean, if we see the same team that we saw these past 4 weeks, Carolina should be a win.
100%. 100%. This is a
Tampa Bay. I'll admit that one is interesting. Yeah.
This is a good football team right now. Any way you slice it. This is a take care of business game.
Yes.
If you lose this game, this is a embarrassing SOL loss.
Yes, 100%.
There is no reason that you should lose to the Panthers in your house with all of the struggles that they've had. I mean, I think the Bears and Cardinals are about the only teams right now at this current point in the year that they can beat. Yeah. And I need to maybe go back and watch more of their highlights and everything from the year, but like, yeah, I'm surprised they're winless. We were pretty hot on them.
Pretty high up on them.
And adding Bryce Young and Frank Reich, we thought would be the recipe to get a couple more wins than they got. And this was going into the year a game with a lot more question marks to me, but no, now that the first month is through and we've seen with these two teams where they're at, yeah, if you lose this game, I have serious questions.
All right, list of demands for the Panthers.
I demand satisfaction.
The team. Let's get a 2-possession lead going into the second half. So leaving the first half, let's have a 2-possession lead, at least 10 points. For the offense, let's start. No question about it. I want to start converting every single red zone into a touchdown. Especially with the fact that Monty was running the ball the way he was, no more field goals in the red zone. That needs to be a touchdown every time.
Might be tough. Brian Burns, Derek Brown,
but
they got players.
I'm not disclaiming or I'm not, throwing the Carolina's defense out. I think that's going to be the real battle this week. Defense, this one, it might sound tough, but honestly, I think this should be a shoo-in for them. Carolina killed us last year on the run, on the ground game. They murdered us. I think they had like almost damn near 300 yards rushing.
With Donta Foreman, if memory serves, it was a bad game.
They are now, I think, the league leader in rush defense. We have, I think, 263 total yards.
Really? With Miles Sanders?
No. The Lions.
Okay.
The Lions are the best run defense in the NFL currently, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but I'm not going to fact check myself. hold them to 50 yards rushing. Make Bryce Young beat you with his arm because he's going to fuck up one way or another.
And by the way, they have a it's tough to say. I guess sneaky bad receiving core. I mean,
Yeah.
Adam Thielen, he's good. He's a great player, but he's also 30, 31.
DJ Chark revenge game, I guess.
Probably not. I mean, to be real, I don't know.
All right, the last one, the individual player. Keep the momentum going. I feel like that's going to be the theme of this all year long. I'm not going to say. I mean, we didn't really talk about J-Mo coming back, but we can get into it after this. But I'm not gonna say J-Mo go out there 5 catches, 75 yards and a touchdown. I'm not going to do that because honestly, they're probably going to ease him back in, right? Keep Monty's wheels going. Let's keep this motherfucker trucking. 100 plus rushing yards. And let's get back to how explosive this offense was last year. 2 20-yard runs. I don't think we've had a running back go for 20 yards this entire season through 4 games. Monty had, I think, his long last week was 16. Gibbs was like 9. I want to see somebody break one loose, man. There's nothing. We've had a couple downfield shots from Goff, but nothing in the running game yet. The running game has just been steady, solid, which is great. But last year, in the first 4 games when we had Swift at 100%, that motherfucker was breaking off 60, 70-yard runs. Let's get back to that. Let's see Monty bust one through the whole offensive line, push those motherfuckers out of the way.
Also, these are the kind of plays we do want to be seeing from Gibbs a little bit. That
Absolutely.
Explosiveness, that speed.
But the only reason I'm not saying this for Gibbs is because even with, hopefully, I mean, he gets one, but he just doesn't get the volume that Monty does, which is the only reason that Monty's getting this, and he's not.
I have 2 demands this week. I don't always come prepared with a bunch. I kind of just let you cook, but our conversation plus just what we've been talking about these last couple of weeks has inspired me a little bit. Demand number 1, no picks from Goff.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
We need to clean that up a little bit. I know 3 interceptions over 3 games, and especially considering how well he was doing prior to that, it's almost a non-factor when you think about it for every other quarterback in the NFL. But hey, let's just not keep this direction moving. It's fine to throw a couple picks this year, but let's not do one every game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. So no picks for Goff this week against a questionable Panthers defense. And I guess the second demand, it really will kind of get us into the J-Mo conversation a little bit, because you kind of were saying it's all right if he comes in and it's not a barn burner. If he doesn't have all these great stats and everything. I need to see something from J-Mo this game.
I don't think you will.
Well, that's my demand. It's vague, but I want to see something from him. I'm not saying it has to be an absolute bomb touchdown play or 100 yards receiving, but we talked about him a lot in the offseason for many reasons, but towards the end of the preseason, during the preseason when he was playing, he was looking like he was having some trouble and some problems, just on the field.
Right.
So, it's good that he's back a little bit early here, because it gives him more time to get up to speed quicker and have more games potential where he's just 100% good to go in this offense. But it's year 2. You've missed a lot of time. This is a take care of business game with not particularly a great defense that you're going up against. Show me something, because I am definitely on the non-J-Mo fan camp right now, as we've talked about. And for me to start believing again, I need to see something pretty quick.
Yeah, the reason I don't think you will is because I'm going to imagine that they really they put him back in the kitty gloves. With him coming off the injury, I don't think they're going to rush him back into it. Him not having any playing time the past 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I don't think they'll set him out there and give him 8 targets. I think he'll be lucky to get 2. But
that's fine. But show me something with those 2 targets, right. Really. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't need to be 100 yards or a bomb. It needs to be
you need to see 1 catch that goes for 40 yards.
something.
See one big play.
Yeah, a shift in momentum for the offense because of him. So a non-negative play or impact by Jameson Williams is what I would actually like to see, to be honest.
Right. Okay. All right. I like it. Okay. Score prediction?
As I said, Lions are going to take care of business in this game. I have no problem putting my nuts on the table with that one. Let's go Lions 34, Panthers 10. This is going to be a good game for the Lions.
I think we go Lions 24, Panthers 6.
Okay, even less.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
I don't see that offense getting going against us. Okay, let's go ahead and close the show out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening to Gridiron Zeros podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Gridiron Zeros is the handle for everything. All right, now we're back to Lock of the Week. We're 2-2 on the year. Al, you're 0-2 on the year, and that means new rule.
This is unprecedented.
This is unprecedented. You're getting put in the backpack.
Fucking embarrassing!
What this means is if Al goes 0-3, he loses his privileges to give Lock of the Week. Then it will just be me giving out a lock, and then when I lose a Lock of the Week, if I guess I should say, then Al will have a one shot at redemption. He will give out his Lock of the Century.
It's ridiculous.
If he loses that, he goes back into the backpack, and the picks return to me. If I lose 2 in a row, which I pray to God that never happens, I will also join him in the backpack, and we will start having guests send their Lock of the Week in.
I was really hoping that this wouldn't have to be a conversation we're having in the first month of the year, but here we are.
It's not a good look for week 5.
No.
But Al, the time is now. You have all the pressure in the world. This cannot be a loser.
Back to formula.
He's going back to formula, ladies and gentlemen. Al, the Lock of the Week is in.
But it's a lock!
Play.
Lucas, I know that your back to formula Lock of the Week's picks usually revolve around a Lions opponent stat line. Mm-hmm. That is a good method. I did strongly consider it, but I'm going to go with something that I can rely on even more than that.
Okay.
And that is the Minnesota Vikings being fraudulent in any time slot except 1 p.m. at home. In fact, sometimes that happens too, but it's
this year.
It's definitely going to happen this coming Sunday at 4:25 at Minnesota. The Kansas City Chiefs come into town and visit. We're going to give the Chiefs their 5.5 point spread. I think they will cover this handily.
But it's a lock!
Play.
And I initially was kind of thinking the over-under on the game, but you had that on the board for Follow the Money, so we're just going to not go with that. I still wanted some action in this game, though. Fuck the Minnesota Vikings. I know we kind of also were crapping on the Chiefs a little bit earlier in the program, but 5.5 points against a team of Minnesota's caliber currently, go take care of business. And Patrick Mahomes was clearly frustrated by the Jets game. Taylor Swift will be in attendance, I assume. So let's get a 5.5 point spread. Let's get back on track. To me, this felt like one of the easiest, let's say that now, locks on the board for next week. So let's ride.
All right, Kansas City minus 5.5. I like that pick. I mean, I got to imagine. I imagine that Kansas City would go into New York and beat them by 10. But Minnesota and New York are not the same team.
You know, the Jets at home in primetime with an excellent defense
and nothing to lose.
And nothing to lose is a different situation than a team that is floundering. Even though they got their first win against the Carolina Panthers, it does not matter that they're a bad team. Offense will be hot and heavy in this game for them probably, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything to really believe in with them. I think the Jets are a more spicy matchup on paper than the Vikings.
I agree with that 100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you back here next week for episode 86. Until then, make good choices, good decisions, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.